Alright, in last session we have seen what exactly is the Kanban methodology and how people can make a use of the Kanban projects. And now in today's session we will continue with the Scrum methodology, and then we continue with what the difference between team managed and company managed, and then we will be learning how exactly that we can create a project in Jira. Alright, now let's understand what exactly is the Scrum methodology in Jira. And in order for that to be started, let me open the paint. Alright, imagine that it is one of the project in Jira, and the project, let's name it as Scrum project. Alright, so in the Scrum project, there will be a project lead, and then there will be maybe Scrum Master, and then definitely there will be some 5 to 10 people in the projects. And just give me one moment. Alright, project lead, team members, they might be anyone, they might be testers, developers, or any other people, completely based upon what kind of project it is. And then for each and every project there will be a person who is very good in technical, and instead of project lead we can even call them as Scrum Master. So what the Scrum Master's work is, he is the only person who is very much good in the technical terms, right? So the Scrum Master will be reaching out to the stakeholders, or maybe we can call them as clients, or maybe we can sometimes call them as customers. It might be any term that we can use. So these are the people, like who is the owners of the project. They can stay anywhere in the world, either they might be from India or they might be from US or Singapore. So they will be giving the work, or they will be letting them know what work needs to be done by this particular project team members. So all the work will be noted by the Scrum Master in one of the call between stakeholders. So what the Scrum Master will do when it comes to the Scrum project. Now till this part, even the Kanban is very much similar, right? So what exactly the difference between Scrum and Kanban will be seen here. Alright. Now just like how we do have the Kanban board, even in the Scrum there will be Scrum board. And on the Scrum board there will be 3 different columns. And the first column will be to do, and the second column is going to be in progress, and the third column is going to be done. Alright, then we clearly know when it comes to Kanban. So now after taking all the works from the customer, it might be 5 works, or it might be 10, or it might be 100, I can say works, or I can say issues in Jira terminology. After taking all the works, or maybe after noting all the works in the meeting with the stakeholders, clients, customers, the Scrum Master will need to create those issues in the Jira, right? Now when it comes to Jira, if the Scrum Master create any issues, what will happen? The issues will be directly created and it will be stored in the very first column of the board. Now when it comes to the Scrum methodology, alright, always remember that in the Scrum project there will be a dedicated backlog. So whenever the project people or whenever the Scrum Master have created any issue in the Scrum project, instead of storing in the very first column of the board, Scrum have its own dedicated backlog. So all the issues are the work items whatever given by the stakeholders whenever the Scrum Master want to create in Jira, all those issues will be created and stored in the backlog. So what exactly is the backlog? We clearly know, right? Backlog is nothing but a go down, maybe before starting the work, the place where all the issues will be stored. This particular backlog might contain more than hundreds of issues. So what exactly the difference between Scrum and Kanban? Alright, always remember, in the Scrum there will be an active sprint, and even we can call the Scrum board as active sprint. Alright, now you might have get the doubt when I use the terminology sprint. So what exactly a sprint means in Jira? Now imagine that there are hundreds of works in the backlog. Now how are we going to define what work needs to be done by what team member at what time? And before that, the most important thing or the point that we can talk about Scrum is that we heard that there will be a dedicated backlog, right? And then second, we came to know that in the Scrum there will be an active sprint. Now before discussing about what is a sprint means, we have to know that Scrum is completely planned. Alright, now what exactly when I use the term Scrum is completely planned? Alright, completely planned means the customers or the Scrum Master will have a very clear picture of if there are hundreds of issues in the backlog, which issue needs to be worked on what date or maybe on what day by what team member. So they clearly know that in next 2 weeks that we are going to complete these 10 issues. In next 2 months we are going to complete this set of issues. After 3 months we are going to start this work, and after 6 months we are going to start this work. They will be having a very clear picture. Now in last session we have discussed about the Kanban, and we clearly know, right, Kanban is completely unplanned and it completely based upon prioritization. If any new priority ticket comes in, people will be start working on that. Now in Scrum it's completely planned, which means everybody know what work needs to be done at what time. Now we will be discussing exactly what is a sprint in Jira. It might be in generalized. Now what is a sprint? Now when I use the word Scrum is completely planned, here the sprint comes into picture. Basically sprint is nothing but a time span. It might be for 1 week, it might be for 2 weeks, or it might be for 1 month. It completely customizable. But in almost all the organizations, people will follow a default 2 week sprint. So for now, always remember that a sprint is a span of 2 weeks. And we can call a span of 2 weeks, right? So in this 2 week, the Scrum Master will define what set of issues needs to be worked by what team member. So from the backlog, the Scrum Master will be picking a set of issues and he will be assigning it or maybe moving it to one particular sprint. And as soon as the sprint gets completed, there will be another sprint starting. And this particular sprint will also be for a span of 2 weeks. So another set of issues will be selected and will be moved from the backlog onto the sprint. And maybe just in case in this particular 2 weeks of span, if any user was unable to complete any of the issues due to any reason. Now imagine that I picked this particular work item or maybe this particular issue. One user said, It needs maybe 2 or 3 more days of time for me to complete this particular issue. So what the Scrum Master will be doing, the sprint has been completed and only this particular work item has not been completed. So this issue will be moved to the next sprint along with the new issues. So always remember, Scrum is completely based out of sprints. And also maybe at the end of this particular second sprint, one of the user might come and tell that this particular issue, whatever the work has given, will not be completed for some reason. And the user might tell it will be taken care maybe after 2 or 3 months once we get this particular resource, or maybe there is a dependency. So when the work cannot be completed by the user, and they have given the clear picture on why it will not be completed, it cannot be moved to next sprint, right? The work will be moved back to the backlog. So maybe after 2 weeks, or maybe after 2 months, whenever the time comes, the Scrum Master will again associate or maybe will send this particular issue to the respective sprints. So that all you have to understand is that a sprint is nothing but a time span. In that particular time span, a set of issues will be moved from the backlog onto the sprint, and each issue will be assigned to each team member. It completely depends upon the complexity. One team member might get 2 work items, one team member might get 5 work items, or even one team member might get 1 to 2 different work items or issues. So that in the 2 weeks, each and every team member will be knowing what work that they are going to perform. And always remember, when I use a sprint, we have taken this particular sprint, right? 2 weeks. So imagine I have used the term active sprint. So what exactly the active sprint means? Alright, now if I scroll down a little bit, I can see so many sprints, right? I can see sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, and so many. Now when I use the term active sprint, it is nothing but the sprint that is currently running. So almost in all organizations, probably the sprint beginning time will be mostly on Mondays. So from 22 August, 5 working days, and Saturday and Sunday will be only 29 to 2. So from 22 August until September 2nd, the current sprint will be running. So this particular sprint will be running from 22 August 2022 to 02 September 2022. So this is going to be the active sprint. So whatever the issues that we are seeing in this particular place, let me move it to the active sprint. So imagine from the backlog, this particular work items has been moved to the active sprint. As soon as we move to the active sprint, all these issues will be stored in the very first column of the Scrum board in to-do status. When we see the term to-do, we clearly know it's a very basic English term, right? To-do means it to start the work. So when we move a set of issues from the backlog onto the active sprint, this one issue or maybe these 2 issues will be assigned to one particular person, or maybe these 2 issues will be assigned to another team member, and this issue might be assigned to other team member, and finally this issue might be assigned to another team member. Alright, now everybody clearly know. So this guy know what work has been given to his other team member and to his other 2 members. Everybody will know what's happening in the team. So as soon as the works has been assigned to each team members in the Scrum board, each and everybody, alright, let me talk about one more thing here. In Scrum, there will be sprint planning meetings. Alright, now we are going to start the sprint. Today is 22nd August 2022, and the Scrum Master has been moved some set of issues from the backlog to the active sprint. Now there will be a very first meeting called sprint planning meeting. Planning the sprint, what needs to be done for next 2 weeks, what needs to be done until September 2nd. So the Scrum Master, the project lead, the team members, everybody will be gathered in one place. We can call it as maybe Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, or any other meeting. Each organizations will make an use of its own application, but probably all organizations will collaborate in the teams. Just like how I'm sharing the screen and you are all watching. So the Scrum Master will share the screen, and then he will be navigating to Jira, and he will be navigating to the Scrum board, and then he will show or explain to all the team members and to the team lead what work items that he have pulled from the backlog onto the active sprint, and then he will pick each issue. Alright, he will open one of the issue, and we clearly know issue will have summary, description, and few other fields where the data will be there, right? So each issue will have a clear picture of what work needs to be done, and then he will explain what work needs to be done for that particular week, and then he will pick one of the team member, and that particular team member will give some approximate time. Maybe I will take some 3 days of time to complete this particular issue. So the Scrum Master will enter the time needed to complete the issue 3 days, and then the Scrum Master and all the other people will clearly know, right? Okay, if this particular issue needs to be completed in 3 days by one particular user, and in the sprint there will be totally 10 working days, so that the Scrum Master even will assign one more issue to this particular team member, asking like how long will you take to complete this particular issue, so that the team member or anybody in the team that they are going to pick the issue, they will be telling, alright, it will take some 7 days of time. So that the Scrum Master will make a note of 7 days on the issue, and then he will be summing up, alright, this particular team member for this particular sprint 2 issues are enough for him. So the same thing will be applicable to all the issues and to all the team members. And in the very first sprint planning meeting, it will happen on the very first day, which is on 22nd August 2022, where the Scrum Master will pick the issues and will assign it to the team members as per the workload, so that the Scrum Master will spread the issues accordingly to all the team members. Now imagine, now the second day everybody will be joining. So right after the sprint planning meeting, each and every day there will be a daily stand-up meetings. Alright, what exactly is a daily stand-up meeting? Now the work has been assigned to all the team members, and all the team members know what exactly that they have to do for next 2 weeks of time in this particular sprint. Now the sprint planning has been completed. So until the very last day of the sprint, there will be a daily stand-up meetings, which means on a particular day, each and every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, again Monday, Tuesday, there will be a dedicated time, maybe at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, or maybe evening 7 o'clock, as per all the flexibility, team members flexibility. There will be a daily stand-up meeting. It can be for 5 minutes, or it can be for 10 minutes, or even it can be for 20 minutes. Each and every organization, based upon the team size and based upon how they are working, they will set some default timings. So what exactly will happen in the daily stand-up meetings? Alright, now in the daily stand-up, the Scrum Master, project lead, and all the team members will join in the call, so that the Scrum Master will maybe share the screen and he will open the active board, and then he will call each team member's name. John, what have you completed, or what is your work progress from yesterday until today? So John might tell, I'm exploring the issue and this is what I have found so far, and probably This is what I'm going to do till tomorrow, and I'll be closing the issue as I promised in 3 days. In the same way, each team member will get their own chance to talk. They can talk either for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 5 minutes. All they have to tell is what they have done from yesterday until today, what they are going to do tomorrow until tomorrow, and what challenges that they have faced, whether are they facing any challenges, or maybe is everything going okay. Simply giving the report on the work that they are doing. They can talk anything. So always remember, in the daily stand-up meetings, the team members will talk about the challenges or they will discuss about the progress of the work. And after that, each and every day, whenever the user have started working on the issue, now by default it will be in to do, right? If John have started working from Monday to Tuesday, as soon as he pick one of the issue, what he will be doing, he will be moving the issue to in progress status. Maybe other team member have started working on it, he have picked the issue from to do to in progress, so that in the next working day everybody can see, all right, out of this many issues, 2 issues are currently in progress, and maybe one issue assigned to one team member has not yet started, so that he can give, or maybe he can talk why he did not even started the work. Always remember, the goal is to complete all the issues in the span of 2 weeks, from to do to in progress, and then from in progress to done. If there are any issues that are not completed by any reason, it can be moved to next sprint, or maybe it can be thrown back to the backlog in case if it cannot be completed by any reasons. The goal is to complete by September 2nd. All the issues needs to be moved to done by all the team members. So each and every day there will be the daily stand-up meetings. Now after completing the sprint on the very last day, now at the very first day there is sprint planning meetings, and right after that each and every day there is daily stand-up meetings, and in the same way at the very last day of the sprint on the 10th working day, there will be one final meeting which is called retrospective meeting. So again, in the retrospective meeting, the project lead, the scrum master, and all the team members will gather in the same Teams call, and the scrum master will talk about all the done issues. Maybe they will discuss, and then they will present it to the stakeholders, or the clients, or to the customers. In this particular sprint, these are the issues that we have completed, and these are the challenges that we have faced. And in this particular sprint, one of the issues is not completed for some reason, and we have thrown it to the backlog. So the scrum master will share the so the stakeholders or the clients will share their feedback, and the scrum master will take it and will be going to apply from the next sprints. And even in the retrospective meeting, the scrum master will take the feedback even from all the team members of what challenges that they have faced, what needs to be implemented in the team in order to have a good collaboration between the team members. So all the negatives and positives, the feedbacks, the achievements, everything will be discussed in the retrospective, so that going forward from the next sprints, the same mistakes cannot be repeated and more improvements can be made, and all the things can be happen in the retrospective meetings. And this is how the Scrum methodology works in Jira. So before taking down the questions, I quickly would like to note down this particular points in the Excel sheet, and I will be taking down the questions from you. So coming back to the Excel sheet. Alright, Kanban is unplanned and Scrum is completely planned, right? So Scrum is planned. Now in the Kanban, there will be no active sprints. Now we understand what exactly a sprint means when we have discussed about the same in the Scrum method. There will be active sprints, active sprint. Alright, and then we can talk about the other difference. There will be a dedicated backlog. in the Scrum. And in the Kanban, all the issues that are ever created will go and store in the very first column of the board. And if we want to enable the backlog, there will be an option, and we can do it so that even in the Kanban we can get a similar kind of backlog as similar to the Scrum. But mostly people will not be doing that. They will be following the default Jira given method. It can be done in the board settings. We will be seeing that in one of the topic in the future classes. Alright, and then in the Scrum we do have sprint planning meetings, daily stand-up meetings, and then retrospectives meetings. And coming to Kanban, there will be no sprint, so there will be no sprint planning meetings. All there will be is daily stand-up meetings, so that people will be discussing the activities or the challenges that they are going to face, that they are facing on daily basis. And here in the Kanban, team will be working based upon prioritization. And since the Scrum is completely planned, everybody will be knowing what work that they are going to do in next 2 weeks, and what work that they are going to get in the next sprints, and what aim that they are having in the next couple of months. So they clearly know what's happening in the team. So we cannot judge anything in this particular part. And here the Kanban workflow is continuous. And in Scrum, we cannot judge whether we can call it as continuous or non-continuous, because the team member might complete the given work instead of 10 working days. He might complete the work in 7 working days. So the team member can happily take the rest for next 3 days of time. So all you have to remember, one more thing in the sprints, is that if any set of issues has been moved onto the active sprint, until the sprint get completed, none of the issues can be taken out. None of the issues can be added as per the Agile Scrum methodology. So if the person completed the work within 5 days of time, he can happily enjoy the rest 5 days of time as per the Scrum methodology. So that we cannot call the workflow is continuous in the Scrum. Alright, now we have know what is the difference between Scrum and Kanban methodologies, and we have know why we use the team managed and when we will be using the company managed. So we are left with 10 minutes. So happily in today's session we will be learning how to create a project and what are the necessary things. We already created a project earlier, but now we are creating the project with a little bit of knowledge. So we are creating a project, and now we got one of the ticket, and the ticket clearly stating that they would like to go for the Scrum. So as a Jira admin, we directly click on Scrum, but we know what is Scrum and what is Kanban. Alright, now let me click on use template, and then as per the ticket that we have received, they clearly said that they would like to go for the company managed. Even we clearly know that in our organization we mostly making a use of the company managed, and in the ticket they do not mention anything. We can either ask the user whether that they would like to go for team managed or company managed, or maybe if you really do not concern much about it, and even if they do not mention such, we can directly make an use of the company managed directly. And then we clearly know that for each and every project there will be a project name, maybe development project. I'll mention software. ST key is okay for me. If the user or if the project leader, if any person who raises the request, if they give any specific project key, either we can use it. If not, whatever key given by Jira by default, if it looks good, we can directly take it. And now finally we can clearly confirm the template, and then we can confirm the project type, and then we can click on create. And before that, I would like to quickly talk about one of the option which is disabled or which cannot be given in the free plan. So we do have one of the option here, share settings with an existing project. Now imagine earlier we have created two different projects, right? One is Edu Yourself and one is some other project. And we have done a lot of configuration changes in those projects. Now imagine the project lead of the software development have a look at those projects, and they even mentioned in the request, we want to have a new project called software development, and that is completely fine, but we exactly want the same configuration how you have done for the Edu Yourself project. So what we can do, we cannot create the project and from the scratch we cannot customize by comparing to the Edu Yourself project, right? All the configuration. Maybe the Edu Yourself project is being in use for more than 1 year or 2 years of time. Lot of configurations has been done in Edu Yourself project. Now if we want the exact same configuration like Edu Yourself, we can make a use of this particular option. Since it is the free plan, this particular option has not been given. So what will happen if I click on this checkbox? As soon as I click on the checkbox, a small box will be popped up. It will ask, what is the existing project that you want to choose to share the configuration? All we can do is simply elaborate the list of the projects, and out of which we will be choosing the name as Edu Yourself. So the software development project will get the similar configuration to Edu Yourself, and it is very much easier. So that is why the company managed projects are very much good, and instead of spending lot of hours and days in order to configure, if any project lead would like to have a shared configuration like other projects, we can make a use of this particular button. And now let me click on create project. Alright, a project has been created, and it doesn't even take 30 to 40 seconds of time if we really do it without explaining. Now the most important thing, as soon as we create the project. Now before doing anything, let me quickly show you some things. If we create an issue in the software development, since it is the Scrum project, the issues will be stored in the backlog. As I have mentioned in this particular Excel, there will be a dedicated backlog tab. As I can see, there is a backlog. So when I create an issue, let me create one of the tasks inside, maybe task 1. Let me click on create. The issue will store in the backlog. So in the same way, whenever the Scrum Master took any work from the customers, he will be creating the issues, and all the issues will go and store in the backlog. And then we do have the Scrum board, and we can call it as an active sprint. In the active sprint, we do have 3 different tabs: to do, in progress, and done. The same way how we have defined in the paint: to do, in progress, and done. So from the backlog, we can move a set of issues into the active sprint, and then we can do the sprint planning here, and we will be deciding on how to create much issues in backlog and how we can move the issues from the backlog to the active sprint in a dedicated session. So do not worry about this particular topic at the moment. And then also we clearly know that there is one more option called issues, and even issues is a place where whatever the issues that we create in the software development project will be stored, and it is common for Scrum and Kanban. Alright, now without discussing much about this particular options, what is the important thing for the Jira admin to do? Now we created the project, and then we will be becoming the project lead, right? So we have to go to the project settings, and in the details we clearly see the project name. If we want to change any changes to it, we can do it. And if we scroll down, and here is the place we have to update the name to the person, or maybe we have to update the project lead, whatever the details that has been mentioned in the ticket. Maybe if Oliver James raised the request, we can add him as the project lead, or if Oliver James' name was mentioned somewhere in the ticket in some details, as per the ticket, we can add him, and then we can save the details. So that going forward, the Oliver James will become the project lead for the software development, and he will be the point of contact whenever they want to do any kind of configuration changes for their project. And there is a default assignee. I will be discussing about the default assignee in the later sessions. And if you want to update the avatar for the software development, and here is the place we can either choose from Google, or either we can choose from a few of the avatars given by um, Jira, or even we can upload by downloading from the browser. Anything would be fine. Alright, so we left with 5 minutes of time, so I'll be telling you something here. Alright, now as soon as we create the project in Jira, when I click on the create button is nothing but creating some work, creating issues. And we can call this particular screen as create issue screen. In last session we have discussed. As I can see marketing agency, Ed Yourself and software development names here. Now as soon as I choose the project software development, and when I click on the issue type, I can see there are 4 names: epic, story, task and bug. Alright, so let me make a note of it here. Alright, always remember that we do have 4 standard issue types in Jira. One is epic, and it's going to be the parent issue type. And second one is going to be story. And third one is going to be task. And fourth one is going to be bug. And there is no right order. You can use it anywhere: story, task and bug. And finally there is an normal issue type. We can call it as a subtask. Alright, these are the default issue types that we get in the Jira software if we are making an use of the Kanban project, or if we are making an use of the Scrum project. So in the interviews, the most common question is, what is the difference between Scrum and Kanban, and what methodology Jira follows? We should tell agile methodologies, and if they ask what is the difference between Scrum and Kanban, we should be able to differentiate a little bit. And then one of the one of the smallest interview question is, what are the default issue types the Jira gives? We should be able to tell that there are 4 standard issue types and 1 subtask, and there are epic, which is the parent issue type, story, task and bug. In tomorrow's session, we will be spending time on understanding in which scenarios we have to make a use of which issue type, why there is no one issue type and why there are multiple. And then we exactly see the hierarchy in today's session, and in tomorrow's session maybe it will take 15 to 20 minutes of time in order to understand why we do have multiple, not one issue type. Alright, just give me one moment. Alright, coming to the issue hierarchy in Jira. Okay, and if anybody doesn't know what is the term hierarchy means, hierarchy is nothing but, in an organization there will be managing director, maybe under that there will be some managers, and then the project team leaders, and then the users, something, right? There is a tree from the higher until the lower. In any organization it might be anything. Hierarchy is nothing but from the top level until the low level, whatever the branches that we have, we can call it as a hierarchy. In the same way, we are talking about the issue hierarchy, which means talking about the issue types. We clearly know that there are 4 standard issue types and 1 subtask. Now, when we are having multiple issue types, there will be some small hierarchy, right? And I clearly mentioned that Epic is going to be the parent issue type. And why it is the parent, we will be talking in tomorrow's session. Alright, always remember, in the issue hierarchy, Epic is always going to be the parent, so it is the number 1 issue type. And under Epic, if we are talking about only the default issue types, we can have n number of stories. We can have 10, we can have 20, we can have 30, we can have 40, or we can even have 1 or 2 stories. In the same way, under Epic, we can have n number of tasks. And under the Epic, we can have n number of bugs. And in the same way, there is one more line. We clearly know that there are 4 standard issue types: Epic, story or stories, anything would be fine. Tasks or tasks, anything would be fine. And finally, we do have bug. These are the default issue types given by Jira. Since Jira is completely customizable, if we want to show a new issue type, maybe called development, or maybe a new issue type called feedback, we can customize it. So if we customize any issue type, so even the custom issue types will come under the issue types that belongs under the issue hierarchy from the parent issue type. So it might be any number of issue types, all those issue types will be comes under Epic. If the project is having 7 different issue types, all those comes under the Epic parent issue type in the level of story, task, or bug. And under the story, we can have n number of subtasks. Under the task, we can have n number of subtasks. And under the bug, we do have n number of subtasks. And do not get confused, under the bug means not under all the bugs. Each bug will have its own subtask. Each bug will have its own subtask. The same thing applicable even to the task and even to the stories. So coming to the issue hierarchy, Epic is always the parent, and under the Epic there will be standard issue types like story, tasks, or bugs, or even the custom issue types. And under all the standard issue types, for each issue, if needed, we can even create subtasks. So this is going to be the issue hierarchy in Jira. And even in the interviews, we might get a question like, can you talk about the issue hierarchy, or can you explain what is an issue hierarchy in Jira? We should be able to tell about this particular diagram. We do have 4 default standard issue types in Jira: Epic, story, task, and bug. Epic is going to be the parent. Under Epic, we can have n number of stories, n number of tasks, and n number of bugs, and n number of custom issue types. So under these issue types, or under these issues, we can have n number of subtasks.